So what's this made out of?
Delrin.
Delrin. Okay, so you don't technically need them, but some people like myself are pretty particular about running hub-centric rings on your aftermarket wheels. Luckily, these are labeled 74 millimeters, so that should be your hub bore. We'll look at it later, but the new watts I got off of Craigslist don't really fill out the fender flares, and because I'm extra fancy nowadays, I want the watts to fill out the fender flares. So special from BG. Wheel spacers, I'm gonna see if you guys have the right size. Just off the top of your head, these are 8 mil. What other sizes do you have?
Should be 3, 4, 8, and 10.
Okay, so
Pretty sure. Yeah.
okay, so like you guys can see the site, but a lot of different options you can choose from, and not your typical like 5, 10, 15 mil as well. And then
We kind of saw these as like, these are for the guys that are doing the finishing touch. You know, if you're trying to add 25 mils to your hoopty, this is not the right kind of spacer that you want, right?
okay, so one of my pet peeves, a lot of customer cars, they come with hub-centric rings that are ill-fitting, so every time we take the wheel off, they either like get stuck to the hub or they go cling, cling, cling and fall on the floor. I'm glad you pointed out that the friction fit feature of these, and we'll do a close-up later, but pretty cool. These things just like snap in, right? So you don't have to worry about like, oh, it's still stuck onto the wheel, or like, oh, I can't get it off the hub.
It's also worth mentioning, so Delrin, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but Delrin's like a really hard but slippery plastic. So we figured that obviously you need to have the spacer out of a metallic, so this is aluminum. The Delrin will not scratch or mar the wheels as you put them on. So we kind of imagine if you had some like, you know, fancy TEs or some nice watts, you don't want to mess them up. You could use this Delrin insert to hold them, you know, just where they need to be. Talking about the spacers themselves, we've got 3 sizes, 72, 73, and 74 millimeter. Those are the outer diameters, but they also come in different heights that you don't choose. So the reason why they're different heights is because we actually measured wheels that were donated by our local Corolla community, and we found that based on the bore ID, some spacers had to be different sizing for certain wheels. So we're really trying our best to make these be truly like wheel specific spacers for, you know, your classic Gideon wheels.
Once again, short notice before 8.6 day. Treating myself and splurging on 8.6 day. Let's see what else we have on this table. What are these?
These are radiator support grommets for an AE86.
The important things, a lot of customers I've seen are missing these, so it's either metal on metal, or, you know, there's been a Band-Aid option, I think, what is it, like?
A radiator hose, that was my personal favorite.
There's a real solution now. These are not that expensive. They're gonna protect that fancy radiator you have, also probably protect the body as well.
Also, it's kind of cool, but they have the BG logo actually as part of the mold, which some people didn't even realize until we pointed it out on social media. But for us, although this is a small part, it's I'm pretty proud of this because this is our first foray into like restoration parts, right? So normally we focus on performance parts, but the way things are going, people kind of want to restore these cars more and more, and I'm really happy to be getting into that space more.
My radiator will be happy as well. Underdriven alternator pulleys. So these spin the alternator slower. There's basically a street version and a race version. I've run the street version for quite a while now. I would say like more than a year. I'm deciding on, you know, if I'm gonna turn this to like the full-time drift car or whatever, I may actually run the race version, which is much larger. I believe this reduces the by like 50%.
Yeah, 50%. So it should be 25% slower and 50% slower. I do have an update after using this on my car for about a year. This really should be for like you literally had a race car, because at idle I'm finding that my voltage is just not quite charging the battery. So really it's charging when you're like on track at speed, but really slowing the alternator down so you've got less drain from running the alternator in terms of like power loss, but also keeping the alternator in better condition, because we're finding that these alternators are kind of dying at high speed, especially guys are drifting and like running really high RPM. So this is just an effort to mainly protect your alternator, but it does give you a bit of horsepower as well.
Yeah, so if you're a Corolla guy, you probably know like an alternator per year, like not uncommon. And what I mean is like your alternator dying every year. I was sick of it, so I was looking into some other options and thinking about possibly one reason the alternator is wearing out every year is just, you know, extended time at high RPM, needlessly at high RPM. Knock on wood, I got my AAA card in my wallet, but this is probably save the alternator, for me at least. Again, I've run this for like the past year, no voltage problems for me, even though this is like majority a street car now, so.
Yeah, this should give you charging voltage at idle with just 25% slower.
Right. Awesome, and then 2 different size belts, right, to come with this? Yeah, so no guesswork. It's always a headache, like you buy the pulley and it's like, well shoot, what belt do I get now? So
yeah, it comes as a kit, so depending on this pulley or this pulley, we'll provide 2 different belts.
We had a lot of questions about this product and I felt like it was worth bringing up. If you have a one-piece drive shaft, you absolutely need this for safety, value your life, but also had a big hand in this product. So the egg and then the half circle, what are these?
These are the drive shaft safety loop. Yeah, and if I could talk a little more about this. So these were Ezekiel's idea. So for the few years that I've shared shop space with them, I've seen Ezekiel hand bend metal on cars with solid drive shafts. One-piece drive shafts, including my own car. Ezekiel made a handmade bent metal piece to protect me from my drive shaft falling out and flipping the car over. So, you know, as we're kind of getting more into like the engineering and parts production space, we thought it'd be a good idea to just make these so he doesn't have to labor away just trying to help people out. Because I mean, honestly, like it takes you quite a bit of time to make those, and you probably can't charge very much for the parts. So much easier to just have it made, right?
Like I pretty much just eat the labor when I used to bend those drive shaft loops myself. Now there's like I would say a much better bolt-in option. These are the original ones that came out. I guess the newest feature is that the bolt holes are fully enclosed.
Yeah, and that was based on your guys' feedback. So we went in and enclosed those the ends of the loops.
And then for like hardcore motorsports guys, this is the newest version, which I've only seen a handful of times.
So why would you want either one? So this one should be pretty easy to install because you don't need to disconnect your drive shaft. You just would just bolt it in from underneath and reuse your mounting hardware. This one fully encloses the drive shaft, which means that if something really bad happens at a high RPM, the drive shaft's not also potentially going to be knocking up or hopefully not piercing your floor pan. But it's more of a pain to install because you need to disconnect your drive shaft. So I think for most people for street use, this would be just fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Just to reiterate, the reason you need a drive shaft safety loop if you're running a one-piece drive shaft is because if that yoke falls out or that U-joint fails and falls straight down, when it hits the floor, it basically catapults the car. So the purpose of these is to hold the drive shaft in place in case of a failure. Same thing, if you have a failure and the drive shaft's spinning, the fully enclosed one will prevent the drive shaft from ripping through the floor and, you know, potentially into you. So needed if you have a one-piece drive shaft.
These are nice thick piece of steel as well, so quite strong.
Nice. You guys should come out to our 86 day this year. I have a exterior refresh, but this is a hint at what I'm doing to the outside of the car. I've already got some stuff from BG, so brand new Toyota Redline taillights. I think since the dawn of time, if you really wanted to flex on people, you had the Redline assembly back here. So OEM brand new Redline taillights. This is interesting. So Redline center garnish, but there's a kicker to this garnish. Yeah, straight up, the center garnish is like street value 1500 right now. I really drive this car. I've lost a taillight one time. I'm not gonna, you know, freaking $1,500 for this piece of plastic. Like if you're doing a restoration car, sure, but I really drive this thing.
Is that a price for used ones or new ones?
You can't get a new one.
So just used, right?
Yeah, just like some
That's wild.
used Redline center garnish. They're like 1500.
My GTS was 1500 when I bought it.
Yeah, so anyway, like it's a nice piece. I know the color's off, but if you look at the real Redlines, the center's actually darker than the tail lights. While we're back here, I've been asking for these license plate frames for the longest time now. And all my cars run the BG license plate frame now, and you should too. You guys that know the history of the car know that I've had a big wreck at Laguna Seca one time on that side. And way back in the day, Grant donated to me one Kouki smoked corner light. And so for the longest time, I was running mismatched corner lights. I even sprayed the smoke spray paint on my US corner light. I'm embarrassed by it now. So now I got the matching set. So again, brand new OEM Kouki smoked corner lights. I'm gonna have to make the decision at one point if I'm gonna convert the whole front end to Kouki, because there's that Time Machine Kouki grill, and then you can buy the Kouki eyelets too.
You probably could have asked for a second one, but I imagine times were probably pretty tight for us back then, right?
Oh yeah.
Just starting off.
Yeah. Also these bumper lights. Also from a BG. Spoiler, not spoiler, part of the exterior refresh, I got another set of bumpers for the car. I'm gonna keep what bumpers a secret, but just to freshen up the exterior of the car, I may actually get new JDM bumper lights too. Time Machine guys, which BG carries, has the Reproduction Kouki grill, which I like, but then like you have to basically do some mods to, if we look over here, like where the US Zenki grill goes, you have to mod it to, you know, fit the Kouki grill.
So we're talking about the CAS-CAM plates, which you have on your car, right?
Yeah.
You actually had the first physical metal copies that were test fitted on a car. You helped us verify that.
Oh, that
when
it
they
fits.
first came out,
yeah,
right?
that it fits,
Yeah.
and then all the adjustments work.
Yeah.
Correct.
You know, maybe it seems simple. We're just moving the strut forward and back and side to side, but I'm not gonna lie, we spent like 4 months engineering these guys. Why so long? Because we've had experience with CAS-CAM plates before where they didn't give you as much adjustment as you wanted, or the hardware would just fall out in your hands as you're working on it.
That's the one I wanted to say. Like I've used, even for other cars, like CAS-CAM plates or like top hats where the hardware is freaking finicky.
Yeah,
you gotta have freaking 4 hands to like install it to the car.
It's just not like, you know, these CAS-CAM plates are expensive regardless, right? They're all at least what, $400, if not more.
Right.
Sometimes we see them for like $650, and just to spend that kind of money and then be like trying to have someone else hold a nut in while you're tightening it, it's just like there's got to be a better way.
Right.
So we spent a crap ton of time on these. We even designed the studs from scratch because there wasn't a stud that would allow us to capture. We would stay captured and also have the strength that we were after. So these are chromoly studs that we designed. They got some slots on the bottom.
One other thing I wanted to bring up, if you notice, I have a bunch of things stacked on top of the camber plates. So again, another BG part that I got for last year's 86 day. Yeah, if you want to sell Ezekiel something, it's before 86 day because I'll buy it all, apparently. The Nagisa Shakitto plates, and then from BG, and then not from BG, the Nagisa strut tower brace that I've always wanted. But you know, that's 2 things stacked on top of each other, and these studs have enough height for both of those. So you know, just in case if you had like, you know, a Cusco 3-point strut bar, or like, you know, my similar setup, the Shakitto plates plus a strut bar, it looks like these studs on these CAS-CAM plates are gonna, you know, clear all your strut bar stuff as well, which is pretty nice. Camber caster plates. Why would you want these, right?
Yeah, can't you just adjust the caster from below?
Yeah, can't you just adjust the caster from the tension rod? Yes, and you can get a whole bunch of caster from the tension rod. The problem is, and if we look over here, already my tire is really close to my aftermarket bumper, and if you guys look, I've trimmed this bumper already just because of how close this clearance is. And so my reason for getting the camber caster plates is so here's what I did. I have the caster set maximum, so all the way back on the plates right now, and so that gives me more room for the amount of caster I want. So let's just call it 4 degrees. That gives me room for 4 degrees of caster without my front wheel eating into my bumper.
Right, because if you wanted more caster, you'd have to literally pull this wheel forward as you tilt the strut back.
Right.
So this way allows you to still get that caster, but just shift it back just enough to give you some more clearance.
Right, and you know, there's other clearance problems too with moving the front wheel forward. So like if there's like brackets and stuff under the bumper, let's see, even contacting the front sway bar, I've seen that. That would be the pro tip. Get these plates, run them all the way positive, and then it'll give you clearance for the front tire against the bodywork.
We also maxed the amount of camber out after getting some feedback from people in the drift community. These have 6 degrees of camber adjustment.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So
nice.
when we show the top, eventually you'll see that the slots go all the way out to the entire circle of the strut tower.
Nice. And then how many degrees of adjustment of caster?
It depends on the model, because we don't just make 86 ones, but it's around 2 degrees of caster out.
Cool. And these are kind of universal because they fit other chassis besides AE86, right?
No, these are 86 specific.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
we literally have different plates for the different cars.
Oh, okay.
So what we're referring to is we've got some first gen Celica ones, and there's different ones for Series 1 and Series 2 first gen Celica, and we're gonna keep doing it from other cars as well, but each one requires a different plate.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for
No,
you look like you got mad. I was like
Oh, I guess just because I know the amount of time we spent designing them, yeah, maybe that's part of it.
Okay. So why don't we try out some of these spacers on my car. I got some new watts. These are, the hub bore should be 73 millimeters. Awesome, yeah. Snug fit. I've had some other hub centrics where you dang near had to like press fit in there, but these are cool. I imagine this Durlin's probably resistant to like heat and stuff too, so yeah, nice. All right, well, let's try this out. I got a 8 mil, and if you're either a dum-dum or if you're tired, I'm just kidding, there's a hub side, and then there's also a wheel side, so dum-dum proof, hopefully. Snap that guy in there. Ah! See that? Look. You think it's dum-dum proof, and here I mess it up already. Jeez. Okay, there we go. Wheel side. I'm really tired, but that's not an excuse. Alright, awesome. So that's really close. I'm gonna zap a couple lug nuts on it, and then we'll come back.
A few moments later.
Okay, I got the 8 mil spacer on. Here's gonna be the test. If we're successful, I'm gonna get all the women. No, men.
I might just want to trim the inside just a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, which I'm willing to do. I can trim the inside of the fender flare.
Sick.
Awesome.
That's how it's done, ladies and gentlemen.
Awesome. Well, this will be the 3rd year we're having a exciting 86 day. It seems like the location is going to be TBD for now, but it's worth coming out to if you're visiting the Bay Area, or if you're in the Bay Area already. Get your 86 ready. We only got a month. Yeah, again, Grant, appreciate all the parts. It's cool that I can just get parts next door. I'm sure you're happy every 86 day too, because I'm just like
Next better grab an umbrella, I make it right, I make it.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to showcase the stuff we've been putting together. It's definitely helpful when people can see it on the car. And not to mention, you had a lot of feedback in the creation of these parts. So that's always fun and rewarding to finally put the parts made with Ezekiel's help onto his car, right?
nice. Yeah, and then the car actually gets used. It's funny, after the ITB and standalone last year, like it's far more fun and
Nice.
like engaging to drive the car. So yeah, I drive this thing like way more often than I did previously.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. Look forward to the 86 day announcement. Appreciate all the support, you guys. Make sure to grab some parts from BG. Catch you guys next time.
All right, thanks, guys.